is Reading is Our Jam session, and I'm Mrs. Granahan, the Bertha Barber reading specialist. So I'm going to read A Halloween Scare in Nebraska, written by Eric James. Some of you, I'm sure, went trick-or-treating already on Thursday, but I wanted to read this one about Halloween in Nebraska. See if it was anything like what you experienced. Prepare if you dare for a night full of thrills, the time that Nebraska gave everyone chills. A tale filled with sights that are best left unseen. You ready? You sure? This was my Halloween. The werewolves howled loudly, the moon shone so bright. I stayed in my bedroom, the curtains shut tight. My heart started pounding, my knees felt so weak. But being a brave kid, I just had to peek. I pulled back the curtains, my mouth opened wide. An army of monsters had gathered outside. They staggered and stumbled and lurched down the streets with bags full of cookies and candy corn treats. Emerging from sewers and houses and stores came creatures and critters with ravenous roars. Then more came along from all over the state. They filled up the streets at a dizzying rate. And it's Cornhusker tours and Nebraska nibbles. From Hastings and Kearney and Fremont, too, a mountain of monsters, the motliest crew, all gathered together for one spooky night to seek out the living and give them a fright. The thunder clapped loudly with terrible booms, the witches dodged lightning and clung to their brooms. The two-headed doggies tried chasing their tails, and banshees let loose with their hideous wails. The vampires hung out on the street in their gangs and grinned just to show off their pearly white fangs. The mummies moaned loudly and swayed side to side, while Frankenstein stomped about town with his bride, says just married in Nebraska. Memorial Stadium filled up at nightfall with wizards and witches who came to play football. The Cornhuskers turned up and joined in the fun. In spite of the hexing, the Huskers still won. The leprechauns came to O'Neill for the night and gave poor Medusa a terrible fright. They told her they'd heard that St. Patrick was near, to see all the snakes on her head shake with fear. The creepies were crawly, the crazies were crazed, the Omaha zombies had eyes that were glazed. The Grand Island ogres were ugly as sin, with big bulging noses and warts on their chin. The ghouls danced around but were lacking in soul, the gargoyles could rock and the headless could roll. Although the whole spectacle seemed to spell doom, I foolishly thought I'd be safe in my room. I froze for a moment, as quiet as a mouse. Yes, I could hear noises from inside the house. I put on my slippers and pulled on my robe. I shook like a leaf, but I don't think it showed. Then slowly but surely I crept down the stairs, preparing myself for the biggest of scares. My hands trembled wildly. I opened the door. I still shudder now in the horrors I saw. The stereo spat out some hideous sounds as dozens of monsters jumped madly around. The sight was horrific and made my skin crawl. These monsters were having their Halloween ball. And right in the middle, one monster loomed tall, the hairiest, scariest monster of all. Do you see him here? It says, I love Nebraska. He turned around and saw me. I fell to my knees. I'm not very tasty, so don't eat me, please. He beamed ear to ear and broke free from the huddle, ran over and gave me a big monster cuddle. At last, we have found you, he said with a smile. From Beatrice to Scotts Bluff, we've looked for a while. We came here to give you your wonderful prize. He held up a trophy in front of my eyes. A prize? And for me? I replied with a grin, but what did I enter and how did I win? You've won first prize for the costume you're wearing. It even scares me, and I'm tip-top at scaring. This isn't a costume. I'm just dressed as me. Exactly, the scariest thing you can be. A small human child with a cute button nose. Your teeth are so shiny you've only 10 toes. No hair on your face and no horns on your head. The whites of your eyes are not glowing or red. A bone-chilling costume, a horrible sight, a worthy ensemble for Halloween night. We partied together until the moon set, a Halloween night that I'll never forget. And next year I won't want to hide in my bed. The monsters won't scare me. I'll scare them instead. I hope you had fun on Halloween and enjoyed the Halloween scare in Nebraska. Good night.